I went nuclear on my mom's family and I'm not sorry. I'm not even sorry, but I can't tell my friends or other people outside my siblings and husband because the rest of the world perceives me as a sweet, quiet girl that is good to her community, and honestly I like that image. My mom is a good person, forgiving, very generous, but a lot of people take advantage of it. We always had problems about how my mom's family treats her, but my mom used to beg us to not fight with her family. My grandparents had 11 kids, my mom being the oldest. When she was 7, they sent my mom to be a maid in one of her uncle's houses. She went to school, but she was basically a slave. She went back to her parents at 15 to a small village near my dad's city, and she had to take care of the house and her siblings. She met my dad at 16 and got married a few months after, in the 80s. They moved to my dad's city and he told her to stop working and choose something to do, so she became a nurse. She got her degree and my oldest brother was born when she was 22 and the next one was when she was 25. She stopped working after my brothers and my sister and I were born in her 30s and went back to work in her 40s. During all this, my mom used to visit her parents weekly, and every time she went my dad bought groceries for them. They also paid for at least 3 of my aunts and uncles' degrees while they were living at our house without paying rent or groceries. Then we moved abroad when my sister and I were 11. We built a good life in our new country. My mom went to college at the same time as my oldest brother to better her education. It was funny as hell, and my dad was making good money. We kept our house, but my parents let 2 of my uncles move in for free to take care of the house. We went for a visit after 2 years and the house was destroyed. We couldn't stay there and had to go to my dad's parents. The time we were there, my dad and brothers had to fix it. My dad kicked out my mom's siblings and rented the house to normal people. The rent money was kept in my mom's bank account to use it when they went to visit. After a year we went back and found out that my aunt N10 was using my mom's old bank documents and faking her signature to take the money. Meanwhile my mom was sending money monthly to her parents, where this aunt was living too. Things like this were horrible enough, but my mom kept forgiving them, and I have a lot more to tell, but I don't think I have the time. The only one of my mom's siblings that was as good as her died in 2010. They didn't even call my mom. One of my cousins asked my sister on social media if my mom was coming to the funeral, and that's how we got the news and had to tell my parents. My mom couldn't go in to punish her. Her siblings took all of my uncle's things and distributed them among themselves and left nothing for my mom. After that, in the span of 5 years, my dad's parents died with 2 months between them. My dad had a heart attack, my nephew was born with health issues, my other brother had a baby and got into a car accident 2 weeks later, and my sister had leukemia. My mom and I had to be the whole family's support during these years. We had financial issues and my mom had to stop the money she was sending to my grandparents. We went back after we got out of the bad luck streak. It was someone's birthday, so there was a family reunion. We didn't want to go, but my mom begged us. Everything was swept under the rugs, everyone was in their best behavior until 2 days before our flights. Aunt N10 told all the kids to be gentle with my 6-year-old nephew because he is the R word, he has disabilities. I saw his little face dropping, so I told my aunt to go for a chat outside. I did taekwondo for years and did kickboxing at the gym. I gave her a new nose. It was my first and only Earl fight and I won. To my surprise, my granddad actually forbade my aunt to go to the police limo. My mom stopped sending money unless her parents needed money for medical reasons. I cut off everyone except 3 cousins that see how crazy they are, but they live nearby so they can't get away from them, so they have all the access to gossip, embarrassing stories and more. They became useful later. My grandma died in 2020. My mom was in a really bad shape because she couldn't go and help, but my dad's side showed up for her. It was the height of COVID, so nothing was open, but my aunt with stage 4 breast cancer, fresh out of surgery, spent hours cooking to send food to the funeral. 2 of my dad's brothers went to build the grave in the cemetery during the night so it would be ready for the burial in the morning. My cousin, while 8 months pregnant, took everything she had in her house to cook a meal for my mom's family, and another one took the car and risked a ticket to bring everything to my grandparents' house. They did it because everyone loves my mom and they never received a thank you from them, and none of them showed up at my aunt's funeral a couple of months after. My mom's siblings used their mom's death to hurt my mom in the same way they did when my uncle died. They gave away every piece of clothing, took away every piece of jewelry my grandma ever had, including the ones my parents bought. They excluded my mom from every decision and all the rituals. After a few months my mom could go there and go to the grave. I didn't go, but my dad told me that they said they had nothing else that belonged to my grandma and didn't save anything for her. In November of 2023, one of my moms came for a visit and told my mom that she went to see my granddad a few weeks before coming. She also lives abroad but in the same continent, and they gave her a pair of earrings that were my grandma's. My mom held it together until her cousin left and then broke down. She finally saw that she was not seen as a sibling, that her family didn't love her. She had to go to therapy and the trauma was so bad that she went with all her meaningful things and jewelry to the notary to make a will so her children and grandchildren will have a piece of her after she died. She was a perfectly healthy 56-year making her will so we don't get hurt like she did, even if she knows my siblings and I are close and actually love each other. I usually see my parents like twice a week. Often my mom cries about not having anything to hold to remember her mom. And this year I finally had my opportunity for revenge. My parents decided to sell their old house there and buy another where they could spend time with my dad's siblings because my dad is retiring this year. My husband and I volunteered to go because my husband didn't know my country yet and we had like a month off work. With the 3 cousins that were cool and my siblings we collected data over the years. Screenshots, videos, photos, police records. I didn't get everyone but I did enough damage. And N5's husband was having a double life and my aunt knew about it. Even did a religious wedding a few years ago that they never legalized. She was a Catholic school headmistress and her husband a truck driver. I got this info because my cousin found it based on an old rumor and got me pictures of the other wife's Facebook. I sent the proof to the church and the school administration before I even arrived in the country. I went to the small town's biggest grocery shop and people recognized me and I introduced my husband and made conversation with a few people and casually asked if my uncle's other wife ever came. They made a confused face and I was like, the other wife and the other family he was hiding. I heard she sent pictures to the school and one of them said that's why they fired your aunt. Later my cousins told me that the town's priest went to complain to other people and told them he didn't know what to do with the fake wedding and everything else. And N10 was a sex worker in her college city. I don't have a problem with sex work as long as it's in free will and choice. The problem I had was the hypocrisy because when I got a tattoo this aunt called me a whore and told everyone that I was a drug addict out of control and my mom was doing a terrible job. Elle printed a few of her old pictures of her old agency and ad with prices, censoring the delicate parts. This town during the night is quiet and dark. They don't even have asphalt roads. My husband and I left the car 1 kilometer away from my granddad's street and went walking with a flashlight putting the sheets in every lamppost. A few extra in the church doors too. And N4. I didn't have too much but I wrote to her job at a university to tell them that she does her students' final project for money. It's illegal and invalidates your degree. Uncle N7. My dad's side has connections with the police and military. I heard a rumor about my uncle that he got into the wrong crowd and went to jail for a while but the family told everyone he was working in Argentina. I asked for a favor and got my hands into his police record. He was caught with 2 friends robbing slot machines from bars and running away from the police. They crashed their car into a motorbike and left the woman paraplegic. They did not tell this to my mom. I made a fake Facebook and posted the evidence in the local Facebook page and his local football team's Facebook for everyone to see. 5. And N3 was one of the nastiest to everyone. Her life revolves around having more than others and showing off her wealth. She left her first daughter at my grandparents' house for them to raise her. I remember asking my cousin about her father when we were little and she told me her dad was hit by a train. It took me years to learn that our country didn't have working trains. I was like 14 when I asked my mom about it but she told me that her sister was lied to by a man that didn't tell her he was married and then he abandoned her and my cousin and she actually pulled up a photo my dad took of my aunt and mom and the man was in the background. I felt guilty for knowing while my cousin didn't so I told her when I was 15 to 16. She didn't want to know her dad and her mom was married with another kid so nothing came of it but my cousin and I bonded and became friends. She later started dating and got pregnant at 19, they broke up, got back together and then broke up again. But last December there was a fight with her mom but nobody knew why. I contacted her and told her I was visiting and wanted to meet but away from the family. We talked for a long time and then she finally told me that she discovered her mother, my aunt, was sleeping with her baby daddy and our uncle, N7, was helping her and she wanted to tell her stepdad but her sister is depressed and if her dad leaves she'll become worse. She sent me screenshots and pictures I never wanted to see. I told her to pull the plug and expose her mom. Her sister would be better off without her mom because she was the root of everyone's problem anyway. So she did. She sent everything to everyone, her baby dad's family, her friends, her stepdad. It was glorious. And 3 packed up, stole from her husband and left for Bolivia I think. By this time everyone knew it was me the one that brought the chaos. I was doing everything while selling my parents' house and purchasing another one 2 hours away and showing my husband around. When my mom had her breakdown in November, while sobbing she told me that she didn't know why her family treated her like this after she and my dad paid for my grandparents' house in 1989, on top of everything they did for her parents and siblings. I asked my dad and he told me he did it because my grandma's dad kicked them out of their house, another funny story tbh, and they had land but not money to build, so my dad took a loan and bought the materials for the house and built it with my granddad and a few friends after work and weekends. He still had the papers for the purchase and loan and gave them to me. I investigated and found out my grandparents owed over 30 years of taxes for their land even if it was dirt cheap, but nobody did anything because, it's a third world country. I spoke to a lawyer and asked what are my options to sue and claim the property for my mom. Because of so much taxes was owed, the land doesn't belong to them anymore. They were in my grandma's name because it was her mom's land and because she was already dead. No title of the land was valid, so I could sue to get money, but it would take years, and if my granddad dies waiting for trial then I would have to sue every aunt and uncle, but I could purchase the land from the city and everything in it belonged to me. Guys, it was €3,800 for my grandparents' house. One of my aunts also built a small 2-bedroom house and 3 hectares of land. I happily paid with my own money. I got the official papers and went to see my granddad. I knew at least one uncle and one aunt would be there. After small talk I told everyone that I know my dad paid for this house and now I want it for my mom. My granddad said yes, but it was a gift and your mom never asked for anything. I told them that yes, my mom is a generous woman. But nobody thought of saving even dirty rags for her after my grandma died. But don't worry, because when my other grandparents died, my dad's siblings counted my mom as another sibling and gave her one of my grandma's gold bracelet and a pair of earrings, my grandpa's favorite shirt and family picture frame, favorite photo ever in their 50-year wedding anniversary with over 30 people we love in one picture with my grandparents in the middle with giant mariachi hats. My granddad told me he didn't realize my mom didn't get anything and that we could look for something for her because there are still things in the house that were put away. So I asked if they were hidden when my mother came. Everyone was silent until my aunt N2 finally told me they hid it because my mom already has many things and she didn't need more. I was about to go crazy but calmly told them that they are selfish, disgusting and a waste of air, that I was tired of them hurting my mom, so I took things in my own hands and bought the land, that it was easy because they didn't pay taxes and now everything belongs to me. I own the land and the houses. That they don't need to worry about looking for something for my mom because I took the house already. I told my aunt she has 30 days to leave my property, but that my granddad could live in the house until he dies, but if something was damaged on purpose then I'll come back again and come back harder. My granddad cried and my aunt freaked out, almost hitting me, but my husband stopped her. I told them I would have never done everything that I did, but they chose to hurt my mom for no reason in her most vulnerable moment. My mom doesn't care anymore. Therapy is going well and she realized the kind of family she was born into and that we, husband, kids and grandkids, love her enough to make up for it. Doesn't want the land, but we could make a good profit for her retirement fund money. I came back a month ago. I go out, I go to work, have my normal life back, and sometimes I feel weird because I'm not sorry at all, but I would never tell any of my friends what I did because it's so not me. When I get hurt by people around me I cut them off, I just ignore them and don't waste my energy on them.